Welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub. Time for another movie review. Tonight's movie, Monster Summer. I think it is a kid's movie. It's PG-13, but it has Mel Gibson in it. So, whatever. Teen horror, adventure, horror, mystery. When a mysterious force begins to disrupt summer fun, Noah and his friends team up with a retired police detective to embark on a monstrous adventure to save the island. Sounds fun and harmless enough. I should probably bring my kids down. It's only a 5.7 on IMDb with 2,142 people. In addition to Mel Gibson is Mason Thames. Seeing if I know any of the other kids. I don't know. Nora Zahernda looks familiar, but I don't. Oh, Patrick Rena from The Sandlot is in it, so that's kind of neat. And that's it. Well, that's and Kevin James is in it too. So anyway, so we'll see. I don't know. It seems a little. I might not be the right demographic, but it could be a lot of fun. So stick around. I'll let you know. Hey everybody. I feel like I do that every time. We're at the credits of Monster Summer. I adjust my shirt. I don't know why, but I see myself do it. Anyway, we're at the credits of Monster Summer, and I will say, yes, I think it's more. I'm not the right demographic, but you know, that's okay. Not for everything. I think it is more for kids. But it doesn't take away from the movie that it was. I kept thinking to myself, is it something, you know, I have a 12-year-old daughter, so this is PG-13, and I kind of get that. Like, I probably would want her to be 13, but other than that, I think, you know, it's pretty good for that age. It's not super scary. There are a little bit, you know, it's like a good Halloween kind of movie, I'd say. And there isn't, like, I don't think there's any bad language. There's one scene where two kids go late night swimming together, but they're in bathing suits, you know what I mean? So that's probably the you know, the most adultish it gets, besides when things happen to these kids, and I'll get to that in a second, but you know, what happens, they get like a blank stare and they get like dark underneath the eyes. So I didn't know if that may bother her or might give her images. You know, so I do think it is somewhat kid-friendly, like very close. And the rest of it is, there's that, and I don't mean this to be, and a lot of times I do mean it to be negative or derogatory, but hokey at points, right? So the thought, they live in Martha's Vineyard, and you know, they think a witch is doing different things in the town, right? So not that that's hokey, but the way that things happen. And I'll give you a bright light, you know, appears and stuff like that. So that kind of stuff. There are some cool scenes that make her very, very scary, or you know, like make you think that it's scary kind of stuff. So I did like all that. Just like, I don't know, not that the bright light or you know, some of the effects in it are again terrible, but I think they're geared towards a different generation. Not generation, that would be silly, but age group. So yeah. The younger generation. Again, I'm not taking anything away. I think it works perfect for this movie. But what happens is we got Noah, who is played by the one kid that I know, Mason Thames, and he's an aspiring writer or journalist. He wants to, you know, put something in the paper. He's trying to work with the head of the paper, which is James. What's his name? Kevin James. You know, so he's got a little bit of a role in there, right? But he's writing different stories and whatever. And then who lives in his town here is Mel Gibson, whose family has disappeared. So there's kind of a little mystique behind what's going on with him. And Mason kind of wants to write a story about him so he can put it in the paper, right? That's kind of how it all gets started. He's got a bunch of friends that, you know, play Little League together. And one's really good. It's his best friend. And he's the one who goes swimming one night, and something happens, and that's where he kind of gets the blank stare. And so Mason, who plays Noah, is trying to figure out what's going on, and he essentially ends up connecting with Mel Gibson. Now, I will say this, and it's not a spoiler, but a little bit more in depth than I normally like to tell, but Mel Gibson's character tells this story at one point. It's very heartbreaking. So I'll come back to that in a little bit, but that was, I was like, ooh, you know, heavier than I think than maybe the tone of the movie, but not misplaced. Although I don't know, whatever. Take that for what it's worth. But I was like, oh, okay. So you know, it's like kind of like not an adventure, but like, you know, he's trying to save the day and figure this all out. Of course, he's the one who brings it up like it could be witches, and of course adults are like, that's crazy, you know, and you know, even his friends start to turn on him as he's trying to do all this. But so that's your plot, and that's what goes on, and you find it, I don't know, find it fun and adventurous, and you know, I think it works out great. I actually, the longer I think about it, the more I like it. I'm like almost like a 7 for this one. Taking the perspective of younger person, I think the way it was geared, because I think it's great to make movies for people who can watch them, and there's not going to be curses or bad things in it that's going to scare people away, and makes it fun, but slightly edgy. In my, and I thought Mel Gibson did a good job. You know, and everybody else, I mean, Kevin James, his small role, he was in it a little bit. But other than that, it was really that Mason that I was talking about. He did most of it. So fun. Baseball, all that kind of stuff. So I will say this one last thing before I cut you loose. Again, I think it's worth, so bottom line for everything that I said, I think it's worth watching if you like, you know, things that are geared towards a younger generation, or if you have somebody who is 13, 14, 15, I think they might enjoy this as well, as long as, you know, like I said, the deadpan type thing doesn't scare them, the swimming doesn't give them bad ideas. Other than that, you're good to go. So, before I let you go, I'm just going to say this, I'm not going to ruin the ending at all, but I do want to talk a little bit more about it. So, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. I told you about the heart-wrenching story that Mel Gibson tells, and that was the one piece that I was hoping for something additional. We got it. We got a little bit, and that's fine. So if you haven't seen it, you don't know what I'm talking about. I know I'm talking because I don't want to ruin it, but I wanted more. If you have seen it, you know what I mean, right? We got a piece, but I wanted not the whole cake, but, you know, I just thought the solving of the issue might fix Mel Gibson's story. Or maybe not fix it, but like band-aid it a little bit in some form or fashion. So, and that's not fair because I think they did band-aid it, but they could have put a bigger bandage on it, if you know what I mean. A knock at the door. So if you saw the movie, you know exactly what I mean. There you go. If you didn't see it, and I just intrigued you enough to go watch it, that's awesome. So yeah, there you go. I liked it, and I think I've said that enough. Hopefully I was helpful. Thanks for tuning in. Kimmel's Irish Pub.